this is Marina from Dance Star Astrology, bringing you the Mercury retrograde that starts on March 6th and it goes on till the 19th. So first I'm going to just say what it means generally, and then I will go through what it means for each of the signs. So we have it in Pisces, and it's going to be quite a deceptive one because it's going to be conjunct Neptune twice on its journey. And as it's also in Pisces where it's not so comfortable, it's going to be slippy and accidents could happen. Another problem with this conjunction with Shiat is, the fixed star Shiat, by the way, it's that it's associated with accidents, especially in the skies. So air travel is not advised on the days where Mercury will be conjunct Shiat. Mercury does better on the fixed star Achernar and Anchor, where it is great for study and communication of metaphysical and spiritual matters. And that will happen towards the end of the retrograde. So let's start off with when it hits Shiat on March the 7th. So just a day after it turns direction. So that's the most wobbliest day, really. And now the meaning for Mercury on Shiat is many accidents and narrow escapes, especially by water, many enemies, trouble through writings, bad for health and domestic affairs. Or the other interpretation from Bernadette Brady is the innovator, gifted with ideas, words or rhythm, far-sighted, to be able to think outside the square, to actively seek the truth. So, you know, it's a kind of different view of it from her. So really, my interpretation is that controversial writers and those with visionary ideas come to the fore at this time. And this is when, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention, during the first half of the retrograde, from March the 6th to the 19th, it will be in Pisces Decan 3. So this is the sort of meaning for Pisces Decan 3, and also taking into account the fixed star Shiat as well. So these controversial writers then, they could be quite ridiculed in the progressive period that we're living in, and artistic and musical people fare better because their far out opinions become great fantasy when put on paper or canvas. At this time, we can put forward innovative ideas and schemes which later become commonplace in everyday life. A theory or art form that may well have been vilified in past times is now praised as being groundbreaking. Ideas here are really on the cutting edge of change, since we are so close to the equinoctial point. Don't know if that's how you say it. So since Mars is the sole ruler of this decan, words are apt to be the cause of pain also. Mercury retrograde in this decan can lash out spitefully with its tongue without thinking, and there can be a biting, sarcastic wit, and much damage can come from libelous writing. Gossip reigns supreme here, and we could see raw tabloid headlines that rip a notable person to shreds. We may see libelous lawsuits and poison pen letters. Mercury at this time can make incredibly effective propaganda too, because it can generate such an emotive and persuasive story. So halfway through the whole retrograde journey, we have Sun Kadzimi Mercury, which is when the Sun is exactly conjunct Mercury. And here opens a window of wonderfulness where we can stand in the eye of the hurricane, but miraculously come out in one piece. Make use of the special conjunction moment and send a romantic message that really hits the mark, or pitch an artistic idea. So try as close to these times as you can. Now the Kadzimi happens on March the 14th in America, and that's at 6:43 p.m. PDT or 9:43 p.m. EDT. And then in the UK, it's March the 15th at 1:43 a.m. So now the Kadzimi lasts 2.5 hours either side of that. So you're kind of safe in that window. Then from March the 20th to the 29th, we have Mercury retrograde in Pisces Decan 2. So now here it's traditionally debilitated, and it can be very spiritual, especially since Neptune will be activated also. Now this Mercury retrograde will speak in symbols and myth, and also the language of music. The connection between mouth and intuition is as fast as quicksilver though, so it might seem at times that we are simply downloading information from the collective consciousness. Vocal style and delivery are most unusual, sometimes pretty surreal, but it can be hard to grasp what people really mean, which sometimes makes them appear quite shifty. So mundane matters are better dealt with online rather than awkward face-to-face speaking. Mercury in this decan can get quite evangelical about subjects that it feels passionate about, and those with a fiery disposition might have to rein themselves back from barking out sermons like a demented preacher. At the tail end of this Mercury retrograde on March the 28th, this is when we get Mercury on Achenar, which gives a warrior with a dry, caustic wit, a person comfortable with and competing in forums and debate. And also on Anchor in the Phoenix, it gives an inventor, engineer, or one who brings order and structure, being able to break something down to its smallest points, even to destroying the original, to suddenly emerge with a solution of insight. So go to the post, I'll give the link below, to find all the dates for when Mercury is going to be with certain stars and when it's conjunct Neptune and when it's Cadzimi. By the way, it will travel through, if you've got planets that are between that window of 29 Pisces and 16 Pisces, then you will experience this Mercury retrograde very strongly. So now let's look at Mercury through the signs, what the retrograde means for you. So for Aries, first of all, now this is going to fall in your 12th house, so you may be distrusted just because you've gone all quiet. Annoyingly, some people will just fill in your silence with fanciful stuff they just made up. So really, you're damned if you do and damned if you don't. And the way to handle this is not to totally gag yourself, but just hold back before you respond to any criticism or accusations. Maybe just communicate in writing so that you can reread what you've written and modify any knee-jerk comments. This Mercury retrograde gives you the opportunity to think of unusual and inventive styles of communication, and also gives you time to filter out any expletives. For Taurus, the Mercury retrograde falls in your 11th house, and this is a time for doing a lot of plain thinking and for making sure that the ultimate prize that you've put on your future mantelpiece isn't just to impress your parents or peers. Ask yourself why you really want this. Would this prize really make your soul happy if there were no audience? Sometimes we can make very pretentious decisions just because we're afraid our friends won't like us if we revealed our true selves. Another possibility at this time is that you make friends with a much younger crowd than usual who help give you a fresh new perspective on life. For Gemini, the Mercury retrograde falls in your 10th house, and one of the good things to do at this time would be to learn a new skill that can help make your business or take your business to the next level. If you take time out to do this, then you can avoid the usual Mercury retrograde office niggles and computer malfunctions. The most annoying things about this transit are that the sales could go quite slowly and you might have to make a few refunds. It's just the nature of the cycle and nothing to worry about once you realise it's just the retrograde. For Cancer, Mercury retrograde will fall in your 9th house, and this is your house of travel. So you're advised more than most to take the normal Mercury retrograde precautions like read the holiday description thoroughly before you book, double check your itinerary, flight times, etc. Then do things that Mercury retrograde loves, like visit somewhere that you've been before, so a revisit, or somewhere where you want to return to. Going somewhere with a past life connection is another option as well, and researching into ancient cultures will be fabulous. If that includes visits to sacred sites, so much the better. Reunions with old friends with whom you share the same philosophy in life would be a lovely way to use this energy. You'll enjoy recounting past events that you've shared. For Leo, this Mercury retrograde falls in your 8th house, so everything you feel is deep, and you are unable to take anything at face value. Sometimes things really are that simple, but not for you at this time. All communications are suspect and there is a conspiracy at every corner. You are left feeling quite paranoid. So a fascination with the occult and life after death will be very marked at this time. Conversations with anyone will turn quite heavy to the point that it will be impossible to talk about the weather unless a killer hurricane is on its way. The world is a melodrama at this time, so you can either lock yourself in a dark cellar or join up with other folks who want to talk about the taboo or apocalyptic subject matter. For Virgo, this falls in your 7th house and brings up a medical for your love life, but not in the gynecological sense. You will also find that you need the help of your partner to problem solve. 2 heads are better than 1, as they say. As this is the house of contracts, avoid entering one for now because you could easily change your mind. If you really have to though, do not sign anything until you have read and reread every last word of the deed. It's so easy to overlook things at this time. Sometimes you get communications from an ex-spouse when Mercury retrograde goes through this zone, and if this happens, it usually does the trick of making you see why they were the ex in the first place, just in case time has rose-tinted your memories of them. For Libra, Mercury will fall in your 6th house, so you might spend a lot of time doing "Have I got Asperger's?" or "What diet suits my type?" tests online. Testing yourself is quite a good thing to do at this point, again and again and again. It's quite a verbally critical position for Mercury, so try not to be too judgmental of your peers. You're not really able to see the bigger picture, so reserve stating your opinion until you can disengage your eyeball from the microscope. In other words, when Mercury's direct in this house again. Another good way to use this energy is to rework some old project or conduct a review of how your business is doing. So you can look at the year so far in bar chart form, graphs or analytics. For Scorpio now, the Mercury retrograde falls in your 5th house, and this is the trickster area for Mercury. So probably better not to try any earnest speeches at funerals. This is a very childlike period for you where you will regress to the mentality of an 8-year-old. Having fun with the little people then would probably be the best way to ride out this Mercury retrograde, so you can make all the fart noises that you want then. This is a fabulous time for playing games too, so getting together with a bunch of mates to play Drunken Twister would also be great fun. Not that I'm advocating drunken behaviour, but sometimes it's cathartic. Making babies might also be well starred just because this is the zone of children and recreational sex. You might even end up with twins. For Sagittarius, Mercury retrograde falls in your 4th house, and seemingly insignificant sensory triggers can transport you through time just as well as any TARDIS could. For days afterwards, you could have dreams, intuitions, and weird synchronicities that open up unfinished business in your life. This is an opportune time to have a good heart-to-heart with a parent if there has been any misunderstandings in the past that need reviewing. You should be able to have a good, clean memory of any unresolved past events so that you can ask the right questions to get truthful answers. For Capricorn, the retrograde falls in your 3rd house, and it may be easier to start composing important writings when Mercury is direct in this house, so you don't get too annoyed with yourself for maxing out on Kindle downloads. Otherwise, this is a time when you can slow down and take things easy in your neighbourhood. Instead of rushing through your high street because you've always on your way somewhere, you might actually take time and stop at a coffee shop for a change. This may cause you to strike up pleasant conversations with local people that usually pass you by. For Aquarius, this falls in your second house, and even if it is Mercury retrograde, it will be that way for everyone, but at least you will have it in your cash zone, so you can pick up some retro bargains. This might be a time when you do more personal shopping than usual, but find you are returning a lot of it. Sometimes though, a Mercury retrograde is good for specifically buying online, so you can try clothes on at home with other outfits. You may well do writing for money at this time, or about subjects to do with self-worth and ways to boost self-esteem. So lastly, Pisces, this is actually in Pisces, so this is in your first house, which means you'll be closely identified with anything you write at this time. So if you need to express your personal truth for posterity, now is the optimum moment to prepare for that. Yes, it is a retrograde, so it might be wise to wait until after Mercury is direct to officially publish anything. But any throwaway comments that raise an eyebrow and witticisms that raise a laugh make great fodder that can be stored away for future use. It is a great time to examine how certain words affect your body. Books you read at this time will also be felt very viscerally. So that was Mercury in each of the signs. Now, if you go to the website, there's the whole month ahead with the love horoscope and what the moon is, how that affects your sign as well, for more details if you want to go there. And yeah, and also the retrograde post itself is also in more detail too. So thanks for listening, and I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.